Hi, I'm Johan and welcome back to the next video in our Objective-C tutorial series. In this video we are going to explore operators and control structures in Objective-C. Just so you know, this is just a little disclaimer. It is possible that this is going to be a longer video because we're actually going to do operators and control structures in one video instead of two. Okay? So just like in Swift, operators are special symbols used to perform operations on variables and values. Objective-C supports several types of operators, including arithmetic operators, comparison, and logical operators. So let's start with arithmetic, right? So let's actually write this. How do you write this? Arithmetic operators. So an arithmetic operators is actually used to calculate something. So we have the plus for addition, minus for subtraction. We have the little star, so the times for multiplication. Then we have the slash for division, and we actually have percentage for modulus, or for remainder. So let's create some integers. So we're going to say int a is equal to 10, int b is equal to 3, and now we can actually say int sum is equal to a plus b, and we close this off. We can also say int difference is equal to a minus b, int product is equal to a times b. Then we have the quotient, so int quotient is equal to a divided by b. And then we have, last but not least, is going to be int remainder is equal to a percentage of b. Okay, so just to sum this up, we created two integers, a and b. We created the sum, so that is a plus b. We look for the difference, that is a minus b. We take the product, that is a times b. We take the quotient, is a divided by b, and we take the remainder, that is a percentage b. So now, let's actually do let's actually do nslog. nslog. And in here, we can actually say add. We're going to say sum. And the sum is going to be of percentage d, comma, sum, semicolon. Let's actually copy and paste this one. 4, 5, 6. I think we only need 5. So we have 5. That's perfect. So the next one is going to be the difference. And this is also going to be difference. This is going to be the product. This is going to be product. Then we have the quotient. This is going to be quotient. And then we have the remainder. And this is going to be remainder. So for the people who didn't understand this the first time, when we do an nslog, this operator here, so in this case the percentage d, this is actually the placeholder for sum. And when we add the placeholder and we add sum here, then nslog knows this placeholder is for sum, so this value is actually pasted inside the string. Okay, it's actually a little bit like string interpolation, what we do in Swift, in Swift UI. So let's run this. Let's see what happens. And as you can see, it actually works really well. So we have the sum, the difference, the product, the quotient, and the remainder. Pretty cool. So next to arithmetic operators, we also have something that's called the comparison operators. So comparison operators. So the comparison operators is actually something that always returns a Boolean value. So we have equal, we have not equal, we have greater, less, greater or equal, and less than equal. So let's actually create two new variables. So int x is equal to 5 semicolon. And we're going to do int y is equal to, it's going to be 10. And this is going to be semicolon. Perfect. And we actually, let's make this a little bit cleaner, just like this. So now we actually want to check if we actually get booleans, right? So what we're going to do is going to do bool with capitals is equal to, then we're going to open up some brackets or parentheses. We're going to say x is equal to y. Then we're going to do bool, and then we're going to say is not equal is equal to, and we're gonna say x is not equal to y. Oh, don't forget the semicolons, otherwise the compiler complains. After that, bool is greater is equal to x is greater than y. Then we have bool is lesser is equal to x is lesser than y. Bool is greater or equal is equal to, this is going to be x is greater or equal to y. And last but not least, is going to be bool is less or equal is equal to x less or equal to y, like this. And now we can actually print this in NSLog. And we're gonna, in this case, we're gonna print, let's print is equal to. So we're gonna do add. Then we're gonna say, let me see. So we're gonna say x is equal to y, double point, percentage d, so the placeholder. And then we're gonna say is equal to. And when we run this, oh, we actually forgot the semicolon. When we run this, we're actually gonna have a value, theoretically. And as you can see, in here, we actually get x is equal to y equals 0. You probably think what's going on here. So, in Objective-C, we actually don't use yes or no, or true or false. When we actually return a Boolean value, we actually return 0 or 1. 0 means no or false, and 1 is actually yes or true. This is exactly the same when we add the next one. So let's say NSLog add string. We're going to say x is not equal to y. And we're going to say is not equal. When we run this, and as you can see, x is not equal to y equals 1, and 1 is actually true, or yes. So now we know x is not equal to y. So I can imagine that this is a little bit confusing, because in Swift we actually use true or false, but in Objective-C we also use yes or no, and we use 0 and 1. Okay? But it's actually not that difficult, it is just really logical. We also have something else, and that's going to be the logical operator. So logical operators are actually used to combine multiple conditions. So the common logical operators are the AND, the OR, and the NOT in Objective-C. So how can we actually implement this? So what we can do, we can actually say bool A is equal to yes, bool B is equal to no, and don't forget the semicolons. And now we can actually say bool and result is equal to parentheses A and B. Then we can say bool or result is equal to A and B. And last but not least, we're going to say bool not result is equal to exclamation mark A. So now, oh, we already have A and B. Let's actually make this C and D. C, D, C, D. And in this case, we're going to call C. So now we can actually call add NSLog. No, not add. We actually need NSLog. NSLog add string. And we're going to say A and B. Double point. Then ever add the placeholder. This is going to be end result. And we actually can copy and paste this one more time. Then we're going to say or b. And that's going to be the or result. And last but not least, ns log add string. This is going to be exclamation mark a, double point, and this is going to be d, and this is going to be the not result. And as always, don't forget the semicolons because the compiler will complain. So let's run this and let's see what happens. And as you can see, a and b is equal to 0, a or b is equal to a, and then we have exclamation mark a, that's actually not a, is equal to no. So no and yes. So this is actually really cool. So these were the operators. Now we're going to talk about something really interesting, and that's actually control structures. Control structures. So control structures allow us to control the flow of our program or control the flow of information inside our application. So let's start with a conditional statement. In Objective-C, we have different kinds of conditional statements, like for example, if else, if and else. So how this works, let's say int number is equal to 15. We can say if, let's actually make some space. So if number is greater than 10 or lesser than 10, we're going to open this one up and we're going to say nslog add. And in here we're going to say the number is less than 10. Over here, the next one, we can actually say else if. I'm going to open this one up. We're going to say number is greater or equal to 10 and number is, let me think really quick. Is less or equal to 20. Don't forget the semicolons. We're going to do nslog add the number is between 10 and 20. Semicolon. And last but not least, we're going to do else. And in here, we're going to say nslog add the number is greater than 20. Semicolon. Okay, so to explain to you guys what happens. So we actually do an if. We actually create a condition. If the number is less than 10, we print nslog the number is less than 10. Else if number is greater than 10 and the number is less than 20, or less or equal to 20, then we can say the number is between 10 and 20. And if nothing of these conditions match, we're going to do an else and we're going to say the number is greater than 20. So let's run this. Let's see what happens. And as you can see, the number is between 10 and 20. So this is how we declare an if, and an else if, and an else statement inside Objective-C. So next to an if else, we also have something that's called a switch. And in Swift, I actually love to use switches because switches actually are faster and they actually use less memory. So if you have a chance to use switch, use switch. Okay? So now we're going to say int days of week is equal to 3. And now we can actually call switch, and we're actually going to take the expression days of week, and the constant in this case is going to be 1, and the statement is going to be nslog, and we're going to say Monday. So now we're actually going to copy and paste the case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we're going to change this to 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to say 7. So we have Monday. Oh, we actually forgot the semicolons again. Yeah, this is because I do use Objective-C regularly, but for the last few months I didn't touch it. But it doesn't matter. So in here, don't forget the break. And then we're actually going to change Monday to Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and inside here, in the default, we're actually going to do nslog add, and we're actually going to print invalid day. So to explain to you guys what's happening here, so we actually check days of the week, in this case number 3. So then the switch is actually going to check if is it case number 1, is it case number 2, 3. In this case it's case number 3, and the moment when 3 is equal to days of the week, it actually is going to do print nslog Wednesday, and inside the case we actually get a break. And this is actually different next to Swift, because in Swift this is not needed, we don't need to do this, but in Objective-C we actually have to tell the compiler that after the condition is done, we actually have to enter condition. So break actually breaks the case. It actually says, oh, stop, you're finished, you don't have to do this anymore. If we don't add that, it will actually keep going, and it doesn't know when to stop. So in here, after that, we also have default, and the default value is actually used when the condition of days of the week and the cases don't compare at all. So in this case, we're going to print invalid day. So when we run this program, let's actually replace. As you can see, we get Wednesday. But when we changed 3 to 8, let's run this again and let's see what happens. And it says invalid day. So this is pretty cool. Okay. So let me see. After this, we also have something else, the control structures, and we're actually going to talk about loops. So loops allow us to execute a block of code multiple times. And the most common types of loops in Objective-C are for, while, and also the do while. So let's create a for loop, right? So in here, we're going to say for, and we're going to say int I is equal to 0. After that, we're going to say I to 5, and we're going to say I plus plus, and we're going to open this one up, and we're going to say nslog, and we're going to say add iteration, double point, we're going to say exclamation mark D, or for exclamation mark, we're going to say percentage %D, and we're going to say Y. So to explain to you guys what's happening here. So we define the loop. After that, we call int I is equal to 0. So this is actually the condition. After that, we do I till 5. So 0 till 5. This is actually not the condition. Oh yeah, this is actually the initialization. This is the condition. So the condition is it will run till 5. And we also have the increment that is I plus plus. So every time when the loop runs, we get 1 extra. So let's actually run this and let's see what happens. And as you can see, it actually iterated 5 times. So when we make this, let's say we make this 15, right? Let's run this again. And as you can see, it also runs 15 times. So the next, which we have, is actually the while. So a while loop is actually used to repeat a block of code as long as the condition is true. So how this works, we can actually say int count is equal to 0. And now we can say while, and we're going to say count is less than 5. We're going to do nslog add, and we're going to say while iteration, double point, comma, and this is going to be count. So let's run this. Let's see what happens. Oh, wait, no. First, we also need to do count plus plus, so that we actually increment the number of count by 1, okay? So let's run this. Pretty cool. So what's happening here, compared to the for loop, the while loop actually runs this same piece of code till count 0 is equal to 5, or is actually when it's less than 5, right? Now, we also have one, and that's actually the do while. And the difference between a while and a do while loop is, let's say, for example, the int count is actually 5. That means that the while loop will not run. It will say, hey, the condition is met, I don't need to run anymore. A do while is actually a condition, or is actually a loop that runs the code before the condition is checked. So how we do this is actually do, and we can say ns log. I'm going to say add do while iteration, double point. This is equal to count. And we can say count plus plus. And after that, so after the do, we are actually going to do the while. So actually say while. And we're going to say count. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake here. While count. Oh, let's actually put this inside parentheses. I'm going to say count is less than 5. So to explain to you guys what's happening here. So this loop, the do while, actually runs the piece of code before the condition is met. So this means that the functionality actually runs at least once, and then we check if the condition is true. So let's actually run this. So do while is actually really interesting when you actually want to check the connection. If you actually want to check the connection to an API, for example. So you can actually first check the connection instead of first checking if you already did check the connection. So this is pretty cool. So this is going to be the end of this video. As you can see, I think if we compare this to Swift, Objective-C is not that difficult to understand. Of course, we have to take care of the semicolons all the time. That's something that is really important. But for Swift developers, I really believe this is not that hard. But that's okay. So in the next video, we're going to dive into functions and we're going to talk about methods in Objective-C. Thank you for watching, and I see you next time.